Welcome to all the Aries rising signs of the zodiac to your horoscope for the month of November 2025. So glad you're here. Welcome back to all my regular listeners and subscribers. Thank you in advance for your ongoing support. And to all newcomers to this content and this channel, welcome to you. Well, we have a really cool month ahead. I would just like to say thank you so much for being here and tuning into the language of astrology. I value it, I respect it, I understand the tides and the movements of the planets and how it really does magically work within our own experiences here on terra firma. I love it. It's inspirational. It really ticks my boxes, the language of the planets. And on the 2nd of November, the 5th of November, I was so surprised to realize that not only are we having our first lunation of the month with a full moon exalted in Taurus, I I quickly identified that I have been doing YouTube for 2 years. I began on the 5th of November 2023, and I'm having my second year birthday on the full moon in Taurus in my natal second house. Yes, I am an Aries rising too. The house of value, what we value. And here we are having on the 5th of November a full moon, lighting it up where the moon is exalted in Taurus. I just found that so serendipitous, synchronistic. It was so magical when I realized it when I started working on your horoscope for the month of November, Aries rising signs. I'm just so was like, whoa, you can't make this shit up. It's an exalted moon in Taurus. It's my second year birthday on YouTube with the Cosmic Girl 101 YouTube channel. I was like, yay. And just wanted to share that. And yeah, it's my birthday. So go right ahead and wish me happy birthday. And a big thank you with much love and gratitude to all my subscribers and people that come across my channel with their comments and their likes and their shares and subscribes. It sincerely does tick my boxes because the language of astrology is my jam. And that's why I started the YouTube channel. It was a platform that allowed me of my own free will to talk astrology shop all the time because I am in no way, shape, or form surrounded by like minded people that are interested in astrology. And it drove me mad. I was like, what? I can't talk astrology shop with anyone. What am I going to do about that? I started a YouTube channel on the 5th of November 2023. And here we are on the 5th of November, 2025, with a full moon in my natal second house of Taurus, where the moon's exalted in my house of value. Unbelievable. Okay, Aries rising signs, let's get into your horoscope for November. It's a good one. Let's talk about the transit of your chart ruler, which is Mars if you're an Aries rising sign. So from the 4th of November until mid-December, Mars will be transiting in Sagittarius, your natal ninth house. And until the 18th of November, you'll also have Mercury co-present in Sagittarius. And Mercury, unfortunately, doesn't do very well in Sagittarius. So you'll be navigating a very nuanced transit until the 18th. After that date, things will get a little bit easier for you when Mercury retrogrades back into Scorpio, your natal 8th house, on the 18th. Okay, so what can Aries rising signs benefit from through working with planets in transits when their chart ruler Mars is in their solar ninth house, being Sagittarius? Well, until the 15th of December, we need to be flexible. We need to be okay with changes going on within us and around us when Mercury is in the mutable fire yang sign of Sagittarius. So, detours, Pivots and changes are going to be experienced with Mars and Sagittarius until the 15th of December. So, knowing this ahead of time can help you in navigating and working well with this transit with Mars in your solar ninth house of Sagittarius. Knowing that Mars and Sagittarius is all about all direct changes and swift turns, sudden movement. It's going to help you keep on top of your schedule and your routine and learning to say no, knowing when to put up some boundaries so you don't feel like you're completely out of control with this transit, which Mars notoriously can be basically taken by the winds of life and adventure when Mars is in the adventure seeking zodiac sign of Sagittarius. So we want to keep our line of sight straight and learn boundaries and know ahead of time that we may be navigating some tricky energy archetypally with the planets in transits. So, what I like about this is that the ruler of Sagittarius is Jupiter. And Jupiter is currently transiting in Cancer in its sign of exaltation. So we look to Jupiter to give us more information on how we are working with all this change, flexibility, and adaptability, with Jupiter being the ruler of this transit until December 15. Well, the transitions and changes and pivots and action is coming from your home and family life. And with that, there's going to be a lot of action, a lot of changes within the family and home dynamics. So that means flexing and adapting and trying your best to keep a line straight is going to be affected by your domestic sphere with this transit. Think of traveling in and out of the home, you moving in and out of the home. Your family life is going through a transition. People within your family unit are changing. Maybe they're traveling or they're trying to work out their place in the world, kind of transit, with Jupiter being the ruler of Mars is transit in Sagittarius in the natal ninth house. So it's busy, it's going to be excitable, but it can be a little chaotic and frazzling for the Aries rising signs when they have their own agenda. So this is a lot of, oh, I thought this was going to be going on. Oh no, it turns out we're traveling now. Oh, I thought you were coming this weekend. No, actually, we changed plans. Or you know what, that travel plan's been scrapped and we're now staying home. Think of that sort of potential with this transit, which can have you spinning in the head like, oh, where am I going? Who's coming? Who's going? Where am I commuting? Where is others commuting? And communication is going to be a little bit higgledy-piggledy with Mercury in detriment co-present with Mars until the 18th of the month. So it can feel like a lot. But after the 18th, what can you expect when Mercury leaves its sign of detriment, Sagittarius? Is when Mars is doing its own thing without Mercury, really blowing up a lot of intellectual stimulation and maybe even travel and financial up and downs, then you can feel a little bit more settled and feel like you can explore your own agenda more organically and really put your head in the books, maybe research, maybe do a little bit of moving around yourself after the 18th. And Mars and Sagittarius ruled by Jupiter in the fourth, then that means maybe your home life becomes a little bit more settled. You can also enjoy family time without too much distraction or movement. Not, this is life. There's always going to be changes going on within family dynamics and our home lives to a certain degree. But after the 18th, I think your home life and family life is going to be a little bit more settled and sedate, and that will help you in basically executing your well laid plans without too much of a distraction. So, yeah, interesting month with Mars in Sagittarius, your solar ninth house, ruled by Jupiter in the natal fourth house. I think it's going to be really busy. On the 5th, we have your chart ruler Mars sextile Pluto, and we have our first lunation of the month with a full moon in Taurus. Okay, so let's first talk about your chart ruler Mars sextiling Pluto. So Mars and Sagittarius in your natal ninth house is happily connecting with Pluto in Aquarius in your solar 11th house. So that means that you're more compliant, you're more up for listening to others, taking in the environment, perusing the terrain intellectually, seeking out hints or opinions, ideologies, and concepts through other on the 5th. You're happy to play, if you will, with hypothesizing about the future. Groups that you connect with of your own free will. Your audience, if you're a business owner or a performer. You're happy to, meet something or someone or the future or generations halfway on the 5th when your chart ruler Mars sextiles Pluto. And with that, you get an opportunity to consider the other side of life, different opinions, different concepts. When you have your ears open and you're receptive to playing nice in the sandbox on the 5th when your chart ruler Mars sextiles Pluto. Now let's talk about the first lunation. Okay, well it's quite lovely because we've got a full moon where the moon is exalted, like Jupiter is exalted. In fact, Jupiter's in the moon sign, Cancer. And here we have on the 5th, not only you being more open and receptive to communication and information and how the other half live and how the future's shaping up. You're being a little avant-garde, if you will, maybe a little bit unorthodox. And the full moon in your natal second house of your values and what you value is easily translated to others. And you might have some serendipitous conversations, events, or happenings on the 5th that are quite uplifting and also gives you an opportunity to express yourself authentically about your sense of self, your values, and how you've come to a certain way of experiencing life. So I think you're getting a seat at a table or a moment to authentically express yourself on the 5th, with a full moon also in Taurus at 13 degrees when your chart ruler Mars is connecting nicely with an aspect, the sextile, to Pluto. So I think it's quite the day where it's easy and it's quite organic for you to you do you. Your individual self is on display and expression is going to be easily translated about your sense of individuality. Yeah, I think it's a pretty nice full moon on the 5th. On the 9th, we have Mercury begin its third and final retrograde of 2025. And this Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius in your solar ninth house is beginning at 6 degrees. Mercury first ingressed into Sagittarius on the 29th of October, and now on the 9th reverses and goes back. So from the 29th of October up until the 8th, 9th of November, what have you experienced regarding changes and pivots with travel, communication, plans, and finance? You get to embody that a little bit more deeply when Mercury is in a retrograde. So it will be very personal and subjective to each and every Aries rising signs listening to this video. Only you are the expert in you. What have you been experiencing since the 29th of October to the 8th, 9th of November? Well, now Mercury is going to retrace his steps, and you get to think about the actions you've taken, all the thoughts that you've had, all the monetary exchanges you've had, or travel plans are going to be reviewed, and maybe a little bit of adaptation is going to be happening regarding the time frame from the 29th of October up until the 8th, 9th of November. It's as simple as that. Bubblegum astrology, oh, your car's going to break down, travel is shit, your computer's going to die. That doesn't really give any justice at all to Mercury when it's in its retrograde phase. Mercury simply gives you an opportunity to process and digest what you've been experiencing from the 29th of October to the 9th of November, and just sit with your thoughts. Go back over the finances, the travel plans and itinerary, and enjoy adjusting if you should need to. Simple as when Mercury goes into a retrograde in your natal ninth house of Sagittarius at 6 degrees. On the 11th, Jupiter begins its retrograde phase at 25 degrees in Cancer, your solar fourth house of home and family life. So Jupiter will be going direct next year on March 10 at 15 degrees. Okay, so when Jupiter goes into a retrograde period, he retrogrades longer than Mars, Venus, and Mercury, because Jupiter is a planet that is larger, it's more distant from us, and Jupiter takes around 5.5 months in a retrograde phase, as does Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, and Saturn. So, with Jupiter slowly tilling the soil in your solar fourth house of home and family life, your domestic sphere, Jupiter gives you an opportunity to streamline and structure your sense of safety and security. People within your family unit are going through movements and changes now that Jupiter is going into a retrograde phase from the 11th of November. Jupiter being the ruler of your solar ninth house, where Mercury has just began its retrograde phase and your chart ruler Mars is currently transiting, in fact, until the 15th of December, then the challenge here, and it is challenging, is going with the flow, Aries rising signs, being flexible, being adaptable, being okay with pivots and changes that can be a little overwhelming. You can do it, but from the 15th of December moving forward, your chart ruler Mars will be in Capricorn, and that's a whole different ball game. But whilst your chart ruler Mars is in Jupiter's sign of rulership, when he's in a retrograde in your home and family part of your natal chart, then it's going to be really noticeable that, things are changing, dynamics are changing, and I need to streamline. I need to get some sort of structure in place. And that can mean a lot of shifting and weaving, ducking with Jupiter now retrograde while chart ruler Mars is in Jupiter's sign of rulership in Sagittarius. So heads up there. But we like Jupiter because he's exalted in Cancer. And with that, we get an opportunity to whistle while we laugh at the chaos. Life is unpredictable and it's going to be really obvious now that Jupiter is in a retrograde phase and we're trying to all find our feet. Whether that's you, where's your home, or readjusting and getting your home life just right. Family are going through dynamic shifts and changes. Well, we just got to roll with the punches. Kind of retrograde phase when Jupiter is retrograding in your solar fourth house of home and family. Interesting. On the 12th, we have retrograde Mercury conjunct your chart ruler Mars at 6 degrees in your solar ninth house of Sagittarius. Okay, this can be a little bit nuanced because this can be about you trying to sit on a fence regarding a debate or a discrepancy. So, heads up on the 12th, it can be a lot of sad stories or nuances between others that are really asking Aries rising signs for support. So be as flexible as you can and open minded on the 12th with retrograde Mercury conjunct your chart ruler Mars. On the 18th, Mercury now retrogrades back into your solar eighth house of Scorpio, where Venus is currently transiting in detriment, and also the Sun. Mercury will station direct at the end of November on the 29th. So now your chart ruler Mars is the only planet in Sagittarius, and that's really good news for you as an Aries rising sign. The distractions, the all up and downs of Mercury being uncertain, chaotic, and frazzled, things now settle down in your solar ninth house where you can open up to travel opportunities, get your head in the books, do a bit of soul searching, spiritual work, communicate with different people, places, and things that tick your boxes. So, really nice now that Mercury is retrograding back into your solar eighth house with the Sun and Venus. On the 21st, we are having a new moon, which the moon is in full in Scorpio, your solar eighth house, at 28 degrees. And we also, at the time of this new moon, have retrograde Mercury Cazimi. So Mercury is in the heart of the sun. Very interesting new moon on the 21st. And then later in the day, the sun is going to ingress into Sagittarius, your solar ninth house, with your chart ruler Mars for 4 weeks. Mars will move on the 15th of December, but the sun will be in your solar ninth house of Sagittarius to the 21st of December. Okay, so let's get into the weeds astrologically and let's talk archetypal shop about this new moon in your solar eighth house where the moon is in full with a Cazimi with Mercury. Okay. Now, I'd like to hypothesize, if you will, that for the Aries rising signs, you're taking on a new resource, a new opportunity to transform something that has been left by the wayside. It's time, is what I'm getting on the 21st for you to go there and proactively begin to go through a process of elimination connected to others' resources that create transformation for you. It's like that's enough already. I need to be okay with getting down to brass tacks and create more individual sovereignty for myself, to get detangled from other people's resources. Think debt repayments, loan repayments, having conversations with people that have a shared financial interest with you, to move in a different direction that feels more empowering. It's like a sobering conversation or a sobering beginning, to alleviate a pressure, an emotional a pressure at that loosens up your sense of being dependent and not being individual regarding others' resources, so you can start transforming and changing your financial portfolio and future. So it's like a bittersweet beginning that has to happen of your own free will, of course, but you're well advised to do it with retrograde Mercury. And I mean, go there and have a difficult conversation regarding death and transformation and others' resources. Because with Mercury in the heart of the sun provides the intelligence. It's like knowing it's time to bring it all up to the surface and lay it out on the table so you can release yourself from feeling stuck and rigid and unable to move about freely, whether that's because of other people's resources, a financial aspect of any nature. You're trying to be okay with not being okay with how things are currently, and taking the necessary steps to transform something, change a narrative that serves you and feels right, connected with communication, how you communicate, finances. It may factor into things like travel, or just even your own mind is potentially going through a shift. It's time to start something new, even though it feels like a push. You don't want to, you're resisting it. The new moon, when it's conjunct retrograde Mercury to the sun, benefits you to go there and be raw and honest about where you're at regarding others' resources, how you receive resources, and trying to transmute it and transform it into something different, even though it's difficult. So quite a big second lunation of the month of November, with a new moon on the 21st. Then the sun moves into your solar ninth house, joining your chart ruler Mars. Now, the sun in the natal ninth house, with Jupiter being the ruler of that natal ninth house in the fourth house of Cancer, of home and family, and the sun being the ruler of your natal fifth house, of things that you create. That could be children, sex, fertility, birth, pregnancy, and also can be about intimate partnerships and recreation and leisure. Is now going into your solar ninth house of the chart ruler Mars. And I like to think of that transit with the sun from the 21st to the 21st of December for you as an Aries rising sign is an opportunity to step into more adventure or more youthful experiences that tick your boxes, especially with home and family dynamics. Whether that's bringing more fun and inspiration into the homes through children, uh, pregnancies and birth, getting creative, maybe starting a new hobby that opens you up and gives you a sense of humor. It's a light-hearted transit with the sun in the natal ninth house, the ruler of the fifth and the ninth. Children might be traveling or moving, if they're applicable to you, or you might be seeking more interactions with different people, places, and things connected to hobbies and leisure pursuits with the sun in the natal ninth house to change your home and family dynamic, or um, infuse your roots with inspiration and optimism. So quite lovely with the sun in the natal ninth house joining your chart ruler Mars. Happy days on the 30th. Venus now leaves her sign of detriment Scorpio and is moving into your solar ninth house Sagittarius from the 30th to December 24th. Okay, Venus in the ninth house. Fun, fun, fun in the sun. Venus is the seeker of adventure and she wants to have a laugh. She wants to connect with people. She's attracted to philosophy and religion and debate and traveling and foreigners and foreign places and educating herself, and she's seeking wisdom and knowledge when she is in Sagittarius, Jupiter's sign of rulership. Now, we know that Jupiter is retrograde in your solar fourth house of Cancer, your home and family, domestic sphere. So, with Venus here being ruled by benefic Jupiter, and Venus is also a benefic, with this transit, it can be really good for planning travel with family or loving up the home, meaning decoration time, getting the garden right, getting the aesthetic right in the home with this transit, or wanting to explore ancestry, your lineage, or wanting to connect with family from a distance. Really nice with Venus in Sagittarius. Humor, love, excitement, beauty is the plan for Venus now that she's in adventurous Jupiter's sign of rulership, Sagittarius, from the 30th to December 24. Enjoy. Thanks for tuning in with your Cosmic Girl, with your horoscope through the lens of astrology for the month of November, Aries rising signs. I trust you have a wonderful month. I think you're in for a really good one. Until next time, Aries rising signs, you stay cosmic.